Okay, next item is the Student Handbook.
I'm going to defer this to Mr. Welch here in a second. I just want to update the board that Mr. Passarella and the Handbook Committee with the parent, Mr. Board Member and Mr. Welch, Neil DeGetti, and himself went through some of the edits previously sent in by Mr. Walsh. There were a few comments sent in by Mr. Moon. I don't think anybody else submitted anything. They were able to review that, address some of those things accordingly, made notes of some of the things they didn't address, and that was in the revised copy the board received. I believe they're asking in the memo that's attached from Mr. Passarella that they feel that this is ready for adoption. But I will let Mr. Welch speak to that if there's anything else or he'd like to update the work of the committee.
We did meet, and we did, the committee and the internal staff did go over all the changes that were pushed forward from the board level, and they actually made a few other minor additional changes. We went over them, decided on some English on some of them, and incorporated everyone's communication into the document. At that point, I think the committee did not have any reservation in saying it could go for approval tonight and send it to the printer. And as we've been saying all along, even though it's printed, as soon as we get a printed copy, any changes that are recommended or noted in the future, Mr. Passarella keeps a list of that for the next year's version. If we do go ahead and approve it tonight, it'll be sent to the printer, and they'll get a draft out of the printing company, and they'll have, I think, 24 hours to approve it. You know, one of the items we did talk about either here or there was the need for a printed copy. And the need for the printed copy is for the students, because there is planners and calendars in there for their homework assignments and their scheduling. And so at that point, I think it would be ready for approval if anyone had any other questions.
Yeah, I did. I was pondering as I was looking at this. This is an election year. We know that certain members are not going to, we know at least one person is not going to be on the board. Yet we have the board members in here, and we're saying it's a 13-14 year.
Okay.
So I'm just questioning what normally is the policy been, and do we?
I don't know that there's been any policy. I don't think the drop dead due date for the printer is before the election. So even if we approve it tonight, we can, if it was the board's prerogative, the board could wait until April 10th, you know, April 15th.
And that's why we put the blue line, I think, in there, right, Mike, about please refer to the website for updated board meeting dates, because
Right.
they previously listed all the meetings. So we could do something similar to the Board of Education.
So I just
Yeah,
was questioning
we have
what
noted
normally has been. That's fine. So
Yeah, I mean, and I think the drop dead date is later in April.
It is. Excuse me,
so-
it is. We can hold off until after that. Yeah.
But in order to get another item done off our agenda,
sure, we can.
we asked that we're going to approve it tonight, and that's what the committee's asking the board to do. We can then instruct them to hold off on the printing so that it reads a little more accurately after the election.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, can I have a motion, please?
Resolved that the Board of Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois, hereby approves the adoption of the Student Handbook for the 2013-2014 school year as presented in the March 12, 2013 Board Agenda Packet.
Have a second?
Second.
Second by Dan Moon.
And I'd just like to thank all the members of the committee who spent their time, the students, the administration, the teachers, and the community members who came forward and volunteered their time to once again put out a handbook that the students can use.
Yeah, Pam, what I'd like to do on that was maybe draft a letter and I could sign it, thanking everybody for their stuff. Okay.
Sure.
All right, seeing any other questions, I too agree with Mike that there's a lot of work done on this, and I appreciate all the help on staff, citizens, and Mike, your work too. So Mary Ann?
Mr. Gritchen?
Yes.
Ms. Ruska?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
Mr. Cindy?
Yes. Okay,
Before we move on, I want to just hand down to the superintendent a piece of paper the committee had that they'd like to share with the board that had certain definitions that they used in the handbook, and because it came from the federal government.
Do
So
do
you can just
want me to
add that.
Copy this? or-
Copy it to the next Friday update.
Sure.
And then just indicate it's from the committee. Thank you.